All right, next let's go into some possibilities for attacking the combat base or knee up position. As Mike is knelt down, but he has one knee off the ground. Should have his foot flat and his heel close to his butt with a nice tripod base so he's solid. His arms are in, not overextended. That's a good position for him once he's opened my guard, or if I open my guard and he can get that, that's a good stable position for him to fight for his grips and be able to start to mount a pass. So I need to be able to deal with that when that happens. And we'll talk a little bit about if you've transitioned to an open guard on your back or you transition to an open guard upright temporarily and being able to deal with this in here. Sometimes it's just a matter of you start to get your legs into play and get your grips and he'll just stand up and start, then the game is on. But a lot of times from here you have some opportunities to actually attack him from this position before he ever gets a chance to mount any type of offense. First one, say I just opened my guard. Okay, so I just scooted back. Mike's pulling his grips in, or pulling his arms in so he doesn't get extended, and now he's going to start looking for his grips to pass. So from here, one of the very easy things I can do, whether it's gi, no gi, what have you, is as I start to pull myself into good posture, is I just see where he's vulnerable right now is if I give him a push here, and I can control down here with a basic ankle pick, just coming around and grabbing, cupping the back of his heel. That's an awesome position. And my motion here is going to be a very basic exercise that you see in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is simply tucking one leg underneath you and pulling yourself up with your other heel leading up. So this motion, okay? This motion, driving up with my hip. So you don't have to be very flexible, very strong to do that. It's just a matter of trying not to fight yourself by having your heels out in front of you. You tuck one leg underneath, and now it's very easy for me to drive my hip forward, especially if I have a grip on him, which I will. So from here, I just moved out. I get into my upright guard position, and right as Mike is starting to look for grips, okay, I come in here and I can either give him a little punch with a gi grip, or sometimes I just literally give him a pop as my other hand comes and grabs on his heel. Come right into position, retracting my own arms, ready to get grips and pass. Ready to get grips. Come in for any type of passing you have, but you're coming up automatically into good posture, arms in, looking for grips. Okay, next one in here, you see I started to move back and open up. Mike immediately got his knee up in this position, and now he's starting to pull everything in. His next step will be to be getting grips, looking to pass. So from here, as he starts to grab, I just make sure that I have this foot on his hip as a frame between us. And now I'm checking that shoulder. So if he starts to come in right now, I block him. He'd have to step back and around my foot. And that's why I have good monkey paw pressure. We talked about wherever you have foot placement, you have pressure here so I can track him. But as he's starting to deal with this frame of my upper body and lower body, I'm going to start to move towards his back here. So I move out this way. Now from here, see the angle has changed. So this is creating that angle. He's got to respect that. Now what I'm going to do from here is just take a step back. And from here, I can just get out of dodge. He may be standing up with me. I get out of my guard altogether. Or from here, sometimes what I like to do is I stand up and immediately just snake underneath like the ankle pick, but this time I'm just going to pull that out, pull him onto his back. And now as I stand up, again, I'm ready to pass. He's got to start playing guard, totally reversing the position. Okay, next one from here. This works well. Sometimes you got sort of that same angle. Now, if Mike has his knee still pointed out this way and he's just worried about his base and his heel is attached to his butt, this is going to be very hard for me to pull off. But where this does come in is once he starts to angle his knee for a cut pass or to put his knee into my sternum and drive me back so then he can cut pass or knee slide pass, that's when this comes in handy. So from here I've got a bit of an angle, I'm slightly offline. Now he's controlling my leg, he's going to start to try and slide in here and pin my thigh down with his shin, control my hip. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of scooting back, so as he's coming in, advancing, his foot's coming away from his butt a little bit, I move back, and now from here I'm just going to grab his sleeve, and now I use my own leg for the ankle pick and I make sure my head is nice and tight in position here, and I reverse engines and start to sweep him that way. So from here, come in. So I hooked him down here on his Achilles. It's almost like the ankle pick. I take his base away here, and now I come in tight. Now here I want to make sure I keep my hips low so that he doesn't hook sweep me. So I'm going to start to really slide in tight here. And now you can either look to pass or to mount, but making sure my hips stay nice and heavy on him from there. It's a great reversal. Let's just take a look at the hook there for the detail so you can see where this is coming in. So from here, Mike has a grip on my leg. So I'm controlling that. As soon as I get my foot in here, I control, and now watch. As I put my head in to drive forward, I'm just going to take my lower leg and hook behind his Achilles. So from here, coming in. Hip low. Now I can either back pedal this way, or I can start to slide in for a mount. Back to some solutions when I'm still on my back. So from here, I'm starting to go, opening up, but from here Mike backs up his butt and he gets his knee up here. So what I'm looking to do, again, looking to create angles. So right now, straight on, he's got inside position and he's pulled in tight to my hips and he got his knee up. Bit of a problem. I can't close my guard again. So what I'm going to do is actually let my head swing all the way to this side and go onto my other hip while still maintaining control. So from here, I switch to this side, and to clear a little space, I put my foot inside his knee, and I push it out, and now look, I can shoot my leg through from here to his hip. Now all I'm going to do, because I'm still controlling both sleeves, is tilt back this way, and watch what happens. He has no place but to fall into that space. So from here, Mike topples, and as he comes up, I keep control, and I use my knee here as a rudder to keep his knees flat. So from here, I slide over, making sure I have my underhook pulling up tight, and now I'm right in that space. He never had a chance to get his bottom leg into play, passing the guard. Okay, one more time from this angle. So I start to open, but Mike backs up and gets his knee up. So from here, switching all the way to the other side, and if I can't get my foot to his opposite hip, I take this one inside his knee and stretch it out. Now I can shoot my foot to his hip. Once I have that, I switch to this hip, make sure I'm pulling in tight. Mike falls, and I come up still maintaining this tightly, and watch from here. Mike, try and get your legs back in play. Good, see, push and pull, I'm sliding. Now I just get the underhook, and I slide right through into this position, solid, pulling up, controlling the cylinder of his body, and right into a good pass. Okay, another possibility from here. Those of you who follow my series know that I'm always trying to create game plans that require very little specialization in terms of physical attributes, relying on being super fast, super strong, super flexible, trying not to do too much spinning upside down. But this is a very easy spin. It doesn't require you to roll up with your hips too much stacked above your body. It's more of like just a 360, like a little bit of a breakdancing spin. And it's a nice angle that you can hit sometimes. I would spend a good amount of time seeing if this fits your game. But it's a nice way to hit an angle in here if you like to play from this particular grip. So as Mike gets his knee up from the same position, I'm controlling the sleeve grip. Sometimes what will happen is I come out here and his knee's like pointed across, but I just don't feel like I can get my leg through very deeply. However, what I can do is switch, and from here I just get my hook right on his thigh, shallow, but maybe I can't quite get it to the opposite hip, or maybe he's starting to lean away from me a little bit, and so this is going to be a better option. So I cross grip. Now this hand that's free is going to shoot to the pant leg of his opposite leg. How do I do that? I do it by bringing my body towards his ankle. So from here, I grab. Now what I don't want to do from here is shoot my leg all the way through underneath him, because he could knee bar me. right at this point. So I just keep this hook shallow until I make my spin. So from here, I grab. Now watch what I'm doing. I'm going to lift and pull as I just spin my legs around to create momentum. So from here, pull, 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 pull. I bring Mike up, and now right as I come up to my knees, watch what happens. I pass his leg, past my head, and I come up onto my knees. And now from here, beautiful position for an over-under pass. So as he starts to defend, I'm already onto his hips, locking in tight, so I can come right around. Worst comes to worst, you're on top of half guard. It's a little bit hard to do slow because you need to create some momentum with your spin by penduluming your legs and pulling with your arms all at the same time. But that would be the entry and the finish position. Now I'll take a look at it one more time with a little more momentum so you can see it smooth all the way through, now knowing what grips to look for. Good, so trying it again. From here, I'm going to get my angle, switch my grip. As soon as I have this, I'm bringing my body towards Mike's opposite ankle to grab because he's opening up that line for me. And as soon as I'm grabbing, my head is spinning underneath him, my legs are penduluming, and I'm starting to pull him up and over so I can get into that position, ultimately winding up in half guard top. Okay, another great option from this position as your partner starts to get combat base and you're transitioning into open guard is to go into the cross shin position. That's where you're getting a butterfly hook essentially on his shin, and you'll have a clashing like an X across the shin. So from here, I make a frame to move myself out, and I just have to scoop my butt back far enough, or my hips back far enough so I can get this position. So as Mike starts to enter in, if you see this, we're making an X with our shins. If my knee is inside, he's going to be able to drive it and smash it down. So I have to have this cross position. Now from here, the other thing I'm going to do is take my hand, and I'm going to snake it around the back of his calf and make sure I can come in and cup his heel. Let's angle this way just a little bit. So a little more. Cross shin position. What I like to do too is, especially if he's got his thigh in here tight to his calf, is instead of trying to hug it this way, which gives him a little bit of space in case he wants to stand and pummel into an underhook. Go ahead. Good. Is I want to try and have my arm more like this so I can really get my shoulder in tight. So as I come up from here, I come in and I'm hooking down low with my hand on his shin. My shoulder's in tight. There's no way for him to dig inside there. Okay, so now from here, this is a cross shin position, really nice. So what I can do is, as he's grabbing me, I just grab from here, and I can either go right to my shoulder for the hook sweep here, or I can feed it in here to a pistol grip or a 4 fingers in grip and actually really turbocharge this by really taking that strongly out of play. Now from here, my head's in good position, I grab and I go to my shoulder always, not to my back, and right as I come down, I'm lifting. So I bring Mike up, now nice and tight, I keep his arm and leg zoned out as I come around and solidify side control position. Okay, the next one's very similar. As I move out, I cross shin, I come in and get my grip. Now from here, all I'm going to do is, maybe I miss this grip, I'm just going to try and unbalance Mike as early as possible. The more he feels this position and sets his base, the better he's going to be able to beat it. So as soon as I get it, sometimes I'm just going to go. Always make sure you don't let your head get too low. He may try and guillotine you, okay? Or too high, he's going to get his head in here and just start to drop me back. So always keep my head in good position, but what I'm going to do is immediately lift with my hook, go to my shoulder. So as he gets upright from here, notice how I stay on my elbow just for a second, and as he starts to bring his hand out to topple, I'm just going to turn this into a knee block. I'll come in, and now you see he had base here, but he doesn't have it in that direction, back over his shoulder. So I'm just going to turn it into a linear technique, a knee block, and bring him right over. It's just a nice reversal. From here, brings his hand back, so I start to take him in, so I switch, Bring him right in from here to the knee block and hopefully all the way through to the pass. Okay, the last one from this position is a dive under sweep. So if Mike starts to lift his hips up when I get this position, kind of anticipation of, some people will settle down their hips, some people in anticipation of being swept will kind of raise up a little bit, ready to beat it. So what I'm going to do is take the opportunity to just dive underneath him, get his hips loaded over my hips, and I just continue to lift. And it's a very easy sweep, believe it or not. Looks a little bit acrobatic, couldn't be less so. I've had people in their really older years be able to hit this. So from here, I have the cross shin position, good head position. As Mike starts to advance a little bit, all I'm going to do is dive my head underneath and hook this far thigh. Lift with my hook, and as I come up, I'm in great position from here. A lot of times I can go right into that same over-under pass, but at the very worst, okay, his legs are zoned out, I can always come up and start to work for grips in here to pass this way. All right, now, just want to go over just some general principles here. Once my opponent stands up, he's out of combat base, he doesn't have any knees on the floor, he's got more mobility, more angles, more ability to create angles to then come down tight if he wants to, or he can pass from standing up. So in general, this is going to be a tougher guy to deal with unless he's down low and has already gotten past the line of your feet and knees. Okay, now that would be into hip control. So from here, just want to think in general principles about controlling base, controlling posture, and always being able to switch up my grips so I can have attachment. So just think simply, can he go either way to pass? Can he stuff my leg down to go over it, or can he dig his arms under it? Because he has to go over, under, or around my legs at any given point. And a lot of it is just creating all those attachments, keeping the 5 points of pressure that we talked about for an open guard in the very beginning, and just making sure that I can transition there. So I've got nice base and posture here. I can create the angle, go down to leg grips. Okay, always able to swim inside or over with my legs. Coming down, okay? Might just start to play around a little bit, good. Okay, I can have sleeve and leg. Okay, so collar and sleeve, sleeve and leg, collar and leg. Starting to work inside here. This one inside. Okay, sometimes I can even, from here, just put my foot across. So knowing that I have an anchor here or a lever point to be able to sweep him, now I can actually bait him into this side. So if Mike were to advance, okay, I can actually bring him over. Just thinking broadly about how you can make sure at any given point you can not only create the attachments, but also make sure there's no easy pass there for your partner to go left, right, under your legs, over your legs, and then from there you start to put on your pressure, create your angles, and really start to get into your offense. Make your guard not only hard to pass, but really keep the attack mode on, so he has to respect that. All right, next let's talk about going into one of the guards that I personally have always liked a lot, which is using the De La Riva hook and some of the different tactics from that game. Now, De La Riva I do not consider to be a fundamental, but it is a great game in here, and the way that I typically approach it, unless you have extremely short legs, most people can play most of these positions that I'm going to be showing, and it'll give you a good option. This is also great, again, to have as an option if someone is, say, able to power up out of upper body grip you have, and then all you have to work with momentarily is lower body. De La Riva is a great option for you to really clamp onto the legs and be able to start to get a guard game going and make it hard to pass. So from here, I like to break down the De La Riva hooks into a few different pressures with what I'm doing for my upper body grips. Okay, so this whole game will come into a few basic parameters. So first thing, Mike gets his leg forward in here, or I move myself to be able to grab. I always want to grab down at the base of his heel, okay? Not up here on his calf, or even his Achilles preferably, but down really cupping his heel. So my pinky finger should actually be on the mat if possible. And then once I get the actual hook itself, I want to scoot myself over so I'm basically have my butt on top of his foot, and this is the most common hook from here. Okay, we'll go into some variations, but this is sort of the classic hook position. And again, it shouldn't be too difficult on my knees. I shouldn't be bowing way out. All I need to do is just get a little bit of an angle, and my foot comes up and there's the pressure inside his thigh. My other foot from here, classic position, is going to be standing on his thigh. Okay, I don't want to be so much on his hip right now, even though there's times I may do that, but more on his thigh, and then I'll talk about the transference of weight to really create pressure there. Now from here, let's talk about those 3 different types of games from this hook. Basically, the way I look at it, to simplify everything, is this. If I have a collar grip and I transition into here, my strength is that I have a great deal of posture control on him, where I can really start to manipulate his body in here. The weakness is that he has a grip on my leg that's controlling his far leg, and he can work that grip. If I have the near side grip from here, this is excellent for me to start to get angles this way and attack him by going towards his back. And if I have the far side grip, this leg is free to work on his base unobstructed, and he can't bring this leg back, or excuse me, can't bring this arm back to try and break that foot off of his leg. And so I have a lot of sweeps and opportunities in that direction. One of the great times that I might transition from here into a De La Riva hook is, let's say I've got a collar and sleeve position, but Mike is pummeled inside this leg over here, and I'm having trouble getting it back into play, and then he gets this elbow inside this leg. Now, he has started to regain inside position. So from here, it's a nice time for me to keep my grip up on his upper body, and now I let go and I move myself and grab down here. That's giving me a better angle. Now I transition and I get that hook, and all of a sudden I've changed the whole game. Now from here, I really want to start to push away by putting my foot on his far leg, and watch, I lift my hips up slightly and I transfer weight. I'm standing on that leg and starting to kick out his base. From here, I'm not doing a bicep curl, but I am pulling him towards my head and really stretching him out. So the good thing about it is here, even if you see my foot on his thigh, even as Mike tries to peel my leg off, I'm standing on his leg, so it's much harder because his head is forward. So that's what gives me still good control on that side from here, even though he can actually grab my foot or my pant leg. Now from here, one of the things I like to do is, as he starts to take a step back to clear that leg, is come back in, good, is I'm just going to lock here, almost like a closed guard. I lock my ankles right around his leg on this side. And the nice thing about this is, I've got my De La Riva hook, I've got here, and now as Mike starts to come and square up to me, this is a great sweep here that's available a lot, is I just take my hand back off of his heel and I grab the sleeve, and now watch what I do. Right as he thinks he can step into this space, I pull him forward and I do essentially a scissor sweep on one leg. I come right up into this position. So from here, I can control his hip and look to pass. A lot of times what I'll do right from here is drop my elbow into his far shoulder, pull up, and I slide right into a nice knee slide pass. Because of that frame across his upper body, he's not able to go to my back. Go ahead. Good, see, I keep him flat. And now once I turn back in, now I can make sure that I can bring my arm back to the near side hip so he never gets a chance to go towards my back or get an underhook. Okay, next one, great position for me to go into a classic tripod sweep. So from here, I'm just going to let Mike up for a second. The pressure I'm giving him with this transfer of weight and pulling his head forward is very important, but right now, let's just look at this basic sweep most people know. So from here, you'll notice that if Mike pushes my foot down, sometimes if he can't do it on my actual pant leg, he'll actually come back and actually grab my ankle or my foot. So if he pushes that down, sometimes what I'll do is I'll just let it go down, but I'm not going to let him go all the way down. As soon as he starts to push it down and step up, I'm just ready to intercept right here, and I slide my other foot to his hip, and there's the classic easy sweep from here to bring him over. Basic tripod sweep. So I control, my grip is already behind his near side leg. I bring my foot down behind his opposite knee or heel, and then my foot that was in the De La Riva hook comes up to his hip. automatically just a little switch there, and he's going over right as he thinks he's about to step into that space. This is extremely high percentage, one of the best ones you can do. So from here, right as Mike starts to go, switch, and come here. As soon as he goes over, I'm already here in position, ready to come up in good base and posture, ready to pass. Now we'll take a look at this position. So from here, Ty's Mike is inside here controlling my hip. This one's controlling my leg. What I'll do though is I take advantage of the fact that he's got this arm in here on my hip, even though it's a good control point for him. So I give a little kick off with my foot, and now watch. I grab his sleeve, I'm gonna punch it towards his far ankle as I get onto my own hip. So I just shoot that across. Notice my foot on his thigh and my hand on his head stay the same. Just shooting that. Now what I'm gonna do is be able to come up while he's still pitched forward and go for a single leg right there. So I bring my leg in, I'm hooking, and as soon as I get here, watch, I'm scooping, coming up, I get a good solid position here, and to take him down very easy, I just come through and tap. Come right down into a nice pass. One more time all the way through, bring my hand to his sleeve, kick out and pass. Now from here, scooping up, I come all the way up in good base, and to finish the takedown, just tap, bring my right down into the pass. Okay, one of my favorite tactics in here, and if you get a good angle, you'll be able to pull this off even if you have shorter legs, even though it is ideal for somebody who has average to longer legs. Okay, so that's my disclaimer. But from here, one thing I have really well from this position is my ability to lift my hips and now shoot onto this. This is very similar to tactics we did versus the combat base, almost the same. Now from here, I lift, and now from here, look, as I shoot onto my shoulder, I can take this leg and bring it from a shallow De La Riva hook all the way to his far knee. So from here I come up, and look, I shoot, I'm hooking my instep on Mike's hip, and immediately, to make sure I don't get knee barred, I bring my other foot from his thigh to behind his knee. Now from here, Mike is compromised in both directions. So a lot of times what I'll do right at this point is I'll simply grab his sleeve to take away a post, and I'll lean to my shoulder, and we come up and I'm right into a good passing position. From the same position, once I get here, a lot of times I may start to bring him this way and he'll recover the other way. All I'm doing now is grabbing his sleeve, pulling it towards me, and I switch this way, and we're right back into this same sweep and pass that we talked about from the knee up position.